Am I the butthole for suing my brother for naming his baby after my ex-girlfriend? Hey Reddit. So, I 32 am currently in one of the most absurd, frustrating, and downright baffling situations of my life. Let me give you the full context before you decide if I'm the a-hole or not because I genuinely need some outside opinions. I'm seriously questioning everything at this point. This involves my brother, Matty, 28 and his decision to name his newborn daughter Sarah, which also happens to be the name of my ex-girlfriend. Yes, you read that correctly. My brother named his child after my ex-girlfriend, and I'm suing him. Before diving into the current mess, let me first explain my past with Sarah. Sarah 31 and I dated for about 5 years, from when I was 23 until I was almost 29. We met in college through mutual friends, and it was, for lack of a better word, intense. I was head over heels for her, and she seemed to feel the same way at least in the beginning. We went through all the stages of young love, traveling, spending every moment together, making plans for the future, and at one point, I even thought about proposing. However, about 3 years into the relationship, things started to sour. Sarah began acting distant, often picking fights over small things, and I could sense that something was off. After months of trying to make things work, she admitted that she no longer felt the same way about me and had developed feelings for someone else. It was like a knife to the heart. To make matters worse, I found out through the grapevine that she had been seeing this other guy for a few months before our breakup. I was devastated. The breakup itself was brutal. Not only did I lose the person I thought I was going to spend my life with, but I also lost many of the friends we had made together. It felt like my entire social circle chose her side, and I was left to pick up the pieces. To be honest, it took me a solid year to feel like I could even think about dating again. The emotional scars from that breakup ran deep, and it's safe to say that Sarah became a symbol of pain, betrayal, and heartbreak for me. Now, let's talk about my younger brother, Matty. We've always had a relatively good relationship growing up. We weren't best friends, but we got along well enough. Matty has always been a bit of a joker, the kind of guy who loves to push boundaries just to see how far he can go. I always thought it was harmless annoying, but harmless until recently. Matty and his wife, Lisa 27F, have been together for about 6 years, and they recently welcomed their first child, a beautiful baby girl. I was genuinely excited for them. I'm not someone who holds grudges, and I was eager to be the cool uncle. Everything seemed fine during Lisa's pregnancy, and we all got together to celebrate the upcoming birth at their baby shower. It was during that party that things started to get weird. At one point during the shower, Matty pulled me aside with this mischievous grin on his face. He told me that they had already decided on a name for the baby but weren't revealing it until the birth. He was acting all secretive and weird about it, and I should have known something was up. I shrugged it off at the time, thinking that maybe they were just being playful. Little did I know, that was the beginning of the disaster. Fast forward a few weeks, and Lisa gives birth to a beautiful baby girl. I was ecstatic for them and couldn't wait to meet my new niece. I show up at the hospital with a gift in hand, ready to be a supportive brother and uncle. When I walked into the hospital room, everyone seemed happy, and I was greeted with smiles and congratulations. I asked Matty what they had decided to name her, and that's when he dropped the bombshell, Sarah. I honestly thought he was joking at first. There was no way he would name his daughter after my ex-girlfriend. I laughed, thinking it was some twisted prank, but then I noticed the serious expression on his face, and I froze. Lisa was smiling, and my parents were gushing about how beautiful the name was. I felt my stomach churn, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. It wasn't a joke. They had actually named their child Sarah. I was in shock, complete disbelief. My mind was racing, trying to process what I had just heard. Matty, my own brother, had knowingly named his daughter after the person who had shattered my heart and turned my life upside down. I could barely speak, but I managed to ask him why he would do something like that. His response: "Oh, we just thought it was a pretty name, and we didn't think it mattered since it's been so long since you two were together." I left the hospital room feeling completely blindsided. I couldn't believe that my own family would do something so insensitive, so thoughtless. I tried to calm down and rationalize it. Maybe they really didn't mean anything by it. Maybe they truly just liked the name and didn't consider how it would affect me. But the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. It felt like a betrayal. How could they be so callous? That night, I called Matty to talk it over. I tried to explain to him how painful this was for me. Sarah wasn't just any ex. She was someone who had left a lasting impact on my life in the worst way possible. I told him that every time I heard that name, it brought back memories of the betrayal, the heartbreak, and the emotional wreckage I had to deal with. I asked him if they could consider changing the name, or at least give her a different middle name, so they wouldn't be constantly referring to her as Sarah. Matty's response: he laughed. He actually laughed and said, "Dude, you're overreacting. It's just a name. You can't own a name." He went on to say that I needed to get over it and move on, that I was being ridiculous for making a big deal out of it. I hung up the phone feeling even worse than before. Not only had he named his child after my ex, but now he was treating my feelings like a joke. At first, I tried to let it go, I really did. But every time I saw my family or heard someone talking about baby Sarah, it felt like a punch to the gut. I stopped going to family gatherings as often because I couldn't handle being around my niece without feeling that surge of anger and betrayal. My parents, of course, didn't understand why I was distancing myself, and when I tried to explain it to them, they brushed it off as well. Oh, it's just a coincidence. You're being dramatic. This went on for months. Every family dinner, every holiday, I was reminded of the fact that my brother had chosen to honor my ex-girlfriend whether he admitted it or not. It got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. It felt like my own family was ignoring my feelings, laughing at my pain, and I didn't know what else to do. I know this sounds extreme, but after months of trying to resolve this issue through conversation and being constantly dismissed, I decided to take legal action. I talked to a lawyer, and while it's obviously not about owning a name, there is an argument to be made about emotional distress and the intent behind their decision. I feel like my brother deliberately chose the name to hurt me, to get under my skin, and I needed to take a stand. It's not about money, and it's not even about winning the lawsuit. It's about making my voice heard and showing my family that they can't just walk all over me and expect me to smile and nod. When I told Maddie that I was suing him, he was, predictably, furious. He called me every name in the book, accused me of trying to ruin his family, and said that I was being selfish and unreasonable. He couldn't believe that I would take things this far. My parents were also outraged. They said I was overreacting and tearing the family apart over something so trivial. But here's the thing, it's not trivial to me. This name represents so much more than just a random coincidence. It represents the years of heartache I endured after my breakup with Sarah. It represents the lack of consideration my family has for my feelings. It represents the way my brother has always pushed my boundaries and then acted like I was the one being unreasonable for calling him out on it. So, here we are. The lawsuit is ongoing, and my relationship with my family is more strained than ever. My parents have taken Maddie's side, of course, and have barely spoken to me since this all started. I feel like the black sheep of the family, the one who's causing all the drama, when in reality, I'm just trying to stand up for myself. I've had friends tell me that I'm being ridiculous, that I should just let it go and move on. But I've also had friends who completely understand why I'm so upset and think that Maddie is being a jerk for not even considering my feelings in this whole situation. So, Reddit, I turn to you. Am I the butthole for suing my brother for naming his baby after my ex-girlfriend? Am I overreacting, or do I have a right to be upset? Should I drop the lawsuit and try to reconcile with my family? Or should I stand my ground and keep fighting for what I believe is right? I honestly don't know what to do anymore. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, please.